Today we're talking about social media, and it's that thing that everybody has to do, much like networking. People don't do it well. People don't really use it to its fullest, and they're a little afraid of it. So let's figure out why that happens, what social media is, how we can be less fearful of it, and use it more effectively. And we're just going to talk about it generally. Future videos on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram. We're not going to get into details today. We are going to talk about the generalities of social media and how they can help you sell your experience in a very broad sense. And see if we can figure out how to use social media to better than we currently are. And me included, can always use some brush ups on things. All right. Social media, much like networking, is one of those things that everybody needs to be doing. You need to be on social media. You need to have an internet presence. All right. And I mean beyond a web page. Okay. We'll talk about websites and web pages and some of the predatory companies. I'm just going to say it. I don't care. I'm just going to say it. Some of the predatory companies that prey on you for your website. Okay. We're going to assume that you have your own website, that you have your own presence. And we're just going to talk about focusing on social media. Again, it's one of those things that people need to do. People don't do it really well. People do it as a last resort. And much like networking, if you're struggling in business, massively saturating Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all of those is not going to suddenly change your business prospects. It's not suddenly going to bring tons of business in. All right. You may get some business from social media, particularly Facebook, but it's not going to solve any of the financial problems that you're having, and it's going to be a lot more work. I am bad at this, and there's software that can help me do it, and I still sometimes get bad at it. Is you need to be consistently on social media. Okay. If you can't be on all social media consistently, choose a platform that works best for you. And we'll talk about the platforms in a minute and their pros and cons. But if you don't need to be on 15 social media, be on one and rock the one. All right. That's it. Just get in there, rock it like crazy. Again, because we're small businesses, home businesses, solopreneurs, everything falls on us. And there are times where we get very busy. Things get a little hectic and crazy, and we don't have time for certain things. There are times where I'll get really busy and I don't look at my email for a day or two. I forget to post on social media for a couple of days. The argument can be made, oh, okay, well, you've saturated them, you've given them a little break, and now you're back to remind them. I'm more of the hobgoblin of consistency than, oh, look, here's a post again. But it is a fine line to walk between indulging and getting in people's faces all the time and not being on there enough. There's a very thin line somewhere in the middle where enough is just enough. The other problem with social media is, and I see this a lot, and again, it's about time. It's about finding more time. And if you need to, there's a video on time management and finding more time for yourself in the video section, in the bonus content section. And it's mostly like restaurants or small businesses like that, where you don't have the time to be on social media. So you create a Facebook page and you let the page sort of self-generate. You tell people, oh, just like us on Facebook, or give me a like on Facebook, or what have you. And you sort of let the platform do the heavy lifting for you. And that's not how the platforms were designed. That's not the purpose of the platforms. The platforms were, when I worked in industry, one of my favorite conversations with a boss was, it's the golden cart that takes you where you need to go. That's exactly what it is. It is a vehicle to get you where you need to go. It much like a car, it can do no more than go from point A to point B. You need to put in the fuel, you need to drive it, you need to be the person that's taking the lead on it. Okay? Let's talk a little bit more about the platforms, what they are specifically designed to do, and how you can use those more to your advantage. Okay, so I want you to think about, while we're talking about these, yeah, I'm on Twitter, but maybe Twitter isn't right for me. Maybe I need to be on Instagram, or maybe I need to be on Facebook, or maybe I need to be off Facebook and on Twitter. You know, figure out what works for you. So the first one we're going to talk about is the B month, is Facebook. All right. I have a love-hate relationship with Facebook. I see it as a necessary evil to get where I need to go. The two social media platforms that I am on are Facebook and Twitter, and then there's reasons for that. I'm on a lot of them, but the ones I'm actively on are Facebook. I'm pretty much active on Facebook. The reason for that is Facebook is the best place for you to start building personal relationships with people. And if the idea behind social media is to get us more super fans and more casual consumers that we can convert to super fans, building those relationships just makes sense on Facebook, right? It is where we should be if we are going to want to talk with and engage with people. Again, the problem is people put up a Facebook page, people post to their Facebook page, and nobody from the business engages with them. You can't just put it up. You need to engage with them. You need to have a conversation with them. You need to get them talking more than just, hey, I really liked, what you did for me. Or it needs to sound less like an endorsement and more like a personal conversation between you and a super fan, you and a casual consumer. Before we go further, I guess we should address the number one problem in all of this is, it's hard to get the super fans excited to talk, and it's hard to get the casual consumers to talk. They will engage, but it's going to take some work. However, the problem child will have no problem telling you what they think, how they think it, any of that. All right. Now, again, with everything, there are two types of problem children. There are the people that are just going to, no matter what, are just looking for a fight. They're just looking to have, a chip on their shoulder or whatever, and they're just being assholes, for lack of a better word. Some of those problem children have valid concerns, valid issues, and if you talk to them and got to know them, you could convert them to a casual consumer and then potentially eventually a super fan. So just because it's a problem doesn't mean that you should throw them out with the bathwater. Look at what they're saying, see if it makes sense, see if there's some truth to it. Come at everything on social media as a teachable moment, okay? You may have said 3,000 times, we don't do this, but for this person, it's the first time they've heard of you, it's the first time, and they're going to have a question. So you need to be prepared to know you may have to repeat yourself 1,000 times, and that's okay. But again, Facebook is about building those relationships, connecting with people. There are Facebook groups. There are two types. I tend to gravitate more to the private because those groups tend to be less spammy, for lack of a better word. Public groups are the kinds of groups where anybody and everybody, fake profiles, con artists, spam artists, they will join the public group because it's an easy way to get in front of more people. Some groups have thousands of millions of people in them, and so if you're going to spam them all the time, then that's the perfect place to do it. Like I said, I prefer private groups because, again, I'm trying to build those relationships. The next one is Twitter, which is another big monster. Twitter's tour de force, so to speak, is It is about building awareness, okay? So if you need a lot of people to know who you are and why you're doing the things that you're doing, Twitter is the way to go, all right? I'm sure it's happened. I'm sure it's potentially could happen. I don't know anybody that has purchased direct from Twitter. All right, I saw your tweet. I came in, boom. You know, if you were keeping track in CRM, I can't see where you would mark, hey, I got this. The source for this consumer was Twitter. It's just I would highly doubt it would happen. I'm sure I'll get some comments or some at-me's below, but I would like to know if it does. I have purchased off of Facebook on occasion, and I have purchased off of Instagram, but I've never purchased off Twitter, and I don't know anybody that has, and I know quite a few people, so yes, I'm painting with a broad brush here, but let me know. Twitter can get you noticed fast, okay? So for some industries, it's a great tool. If you're doing web design, if you're doing event planning, if you're doing graphic design, anything where you can showcase a lot of work. Or if you have a really great perspective, you know, if you're like a financial planner, but I don't know, you could make funny things. You can get attention on there fast. Again, I don't know how many people have had people convert from Twitter, but again, the idea behind Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn is to drive traffic to your website, not to purchase, okay? So if you can see through Google Analytics that, oh, there is an uptick of people who are coming to my site from Twitter, then that says to you, okay, stick with Twitter. If you see an uptick of people coming to you from Facebook, oh, Facebook is where I need to go. And I would also argue that everybody needs to have Google Analytics. It's very easy to use. There's plenty of YouTube videos on how to set it up. It's incredibly simple to do. And that way you can track your own stuff. The next one is Instagram, and Instagram is all about showcasing lifestyle, all right? And again, this is a great one for event planners and wedding planners and caterers, restaurants and things. Show, you want to, on your Instagram post, the idea is that you want to show what it's like, life is like with your products and services using your stuff. You want to show happy people, and you want to show people that people can be like, oh my God, I can see myself sitting in that restaurant table eating that. I can see myself at that event, and I could just imagine all that. You want people to be able to see themselves in your post and aspire to want to buy your stuff, attend events that you go to, hire you for a plan, you know, those types of things. And that is specifically what Instagram does best. It's also a really great platform for short burst videos. It's a great platform for getting people to kind of like post about you. Instagram is all about lifestyle, okay? And then finally there's LinkedIn, and there's plenty of others. But for the small home and solopreneur businesses, these are the four that you need to consider. At least one of them you need to be on. LinkedIn it used to be a site where you could put up your resume and get a job, and it's now become more about a business networking site. Okay, I post on LinkedIn a lot because I want to show my bona fides to other small businesses. Okay, I want to connect with other small businesses, and so LinkedIn for me makes sense. It is the site where I can connect with other small businesses and say, here's how we can work together, here's how I can help you. The two challenges with LinkedIn right now are, and this is IMHO, so if you disagree, leave a comment or at me on Twitter. Two problems with LinkedIn right now are that everybody and their brother comes at you and tries to sell you what their business does, but has no idea what your business does, okay? And we'll use mine as an example. If you have spent 5 minutes with me, if you have spent 2 minutes with me, you know I am about relationships, building and maintaining them, focusing inbound on consumers, and working more with super fans. I do not need to be sold 1 million leads for $1,000. I don't need to care that you got hot leads waiting. It's like those old sex phone lines where it's like, women are waiting to talk to you. I don't need leads. I don't want leads. And the fact that you couldn't take 2 seconds to peruse some of my posts or go through my LinkedIn profile and see that that's not something that I would be interested in, you're just spamming me. And that's the other thing about social media is you want to be it's a fine line between spamming and keeping in front of people. I would say this for all social media, and I'm going to talk about this in an episode of the Small Business Talk Show, is keep politics out of your posts. It is your choice, but my suggestion is keep politics out of all of your posts, all right? The thing that annoys me the most as I'm going through LinkedIn, trying to keep up with other businesses, see what's going on in business, is posts about people talking about political things that have no purpose to be on Instagram or on LinkedIn, okay? It has nothing to do with business. I mean, it's one thing to post something and say, I don't like this regulation and it does this and it does that. But to endorse candidates, to sing the praises of candidates, those kinds of things, or express your personal views. And again, I said we'll talk about this in a later video, but you have to understand that you are turning off as many people as you are turning on, okay? So in all social media, I would suggest keeping politics out of it. If you feel like you need to be politically active on social media, set up a personal account. Do not transact business from your personal Facebook account or your personal Twitter account. Set up a business account for both of those, or business pages, profiles, and go from there so that you can keep, because again, you don't want to get in fights with people unnecessarily on the internet. So to curb that, and again, I'm not arguing that you want to talk to selling to everybody, but your super fans want to hear specific things and your casual consumer wants to hear certain things. So speak to those two groups directly about the experience that you offer and why it is unique and special. All right. The super fan will know your political views. They will know your likes. They will know your dislikes. They will know your taste, because the super fan is you, right? And you can go look at the superfan video to get more information on the superfans. But again, your job on social media is to sell the experience, build the relationships to sell the experience, to get awareness of the experience that you're offering, to show the lifestyle possibilities from the experience you offer, and to find other businesses to work with on LinkedIn that could benefit from your service and that your experience could benefit from knowing them, okay? And that is really the core of social media. And I would say, as much as possible, keep it focused on selling the experience, keep it focused on connecting, and keep it focused on the social media platform for what the end goal is: awareness, building relationships, professional connections, lifestyle. And I know I'm going to get some comments because I'm not always great with that. Sometimes I just post one thing on all 4 areas, but hey, sometimes you got to cut corners. And I'm not saying you can't do that. I'm just saying try to be as consistently as possible on things. Again, I would say pick one platform to really rock out. Maybe a second platform to keep you somewhat interested. So, if you're looking to build more partnerships, it makes total sense to be on LinkedIn. Maybe then LinkedIn and Facebook, or LinkedIn and Twitter, whatever works for you. And I think that's it. All right, I will see you in the next video, in which we will get into more depth about Facebook. All right, see you then.